Tune into this week's on .NET, where I have my good friend Ado on talking about his amazing framework for .NET MAUI called MauiReactor, a component-based UI library that you got to see to believe. So tune in. Hey everyone, I'm James, and I'm back with an amazing guest this week talking about a library they built for .NET MAUI to have a code-first, component-based UI for building .NET MAUI applications. It is mind-blowingly awesome. My good friend Ado. How's it going, Ado?
Hi, James. How are you?
I'm absolutely amazing. And, you go by Ado, but you have, like me, I think I like my name, James Gaetano Montemagno,
Yeah,
and you have a wonderful name as well, but I didn't even try to attempt to pronounce it. So I think you got to say it for
yeah,
everyone.
yeah. So pretty long, even if it's an Italian surname, Adolfo Marinucci. Anyway, my friends, especially from US, called me Edo or Edo.net. Yeah, if you recall the framework Edo.net to access SQL Server data store. Anyway, nowadays we have a SQL client to access databases. So it's anyway they still call me Edo or Edo.net. So Edo is pretty fine for me. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, my grandparents are from both Sicily and southern Italy, and there's actually a tiny town in Italy, Montemagno, which is how
Mm-hmm.
you would say my last name in
Matomagno, yeah.
Montemagno. Yeah. So, but they Americanize it to Montemagno. So, but
Yeah.
James Gaetano Montemagno. Um,
Yeah.
and my grandfather, James Vincenzio Montemagno, like just some really we have wonderful names.
Yeah.
So though I've never been, like honestly, it's really sad because it's on my list. I was really close. I lived in Romania for a while. I traveled around a little bit. I still have never
Yeah.
been, so it's on my list. But when I'm out over there, I'll definitely ping you on this. So anyways, enough Italy talk. Let's get
Okay.
into it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about
Yeah.
MauiReactor. Where did it come from? Why did you create it? Like, what's the origin story?
Yeah, MauiReactor is a library to build application can be used to build application using an MVU pattern approach. That is pretty different from the standard classic approach you usually use when you build application for .NET MAUI or even for WPF or Avalonia or Uno platform. It's a different approach. It has some good benefits, in my opinion, of course. I started I started in the past using the MVVM approach to build application for Windows using WPF, but then I started look at the MVU approach when I met with the React.js framework.
Oh yeah.
And then I tried to use the same approach using in .NET that is my preferred language. And I translated this concept to first Xamarin Farms and then to MAUI. And I was really excited with the .NET MAUI framework when it came a few years ago, last year or the year, maybe last year we went GR. But I was really excited about that because it promises to be much more powerful than Xamarin Forms, even faster with the handler approach. So I started to port my old library that was built for Xamarin Forms to .NET MAUI. And I want to show you and your community and the community of .NET how can be useful to really build application that has a lot of animations, something like that. Also, I want to show you how it can be easy to build application with the hot reload that comes with the library. So you can change the code, you can change everything of the application and see live your changes without restart it. I know that there is also a .NET built-in hot reload model, but this is a pretty different approach because it is used with my MauiReactor, with my library, and take advantage also of the MVU approach. And if you want, I can share the screen so I can instruct you and your fellow community to understand how we can start getting started.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go ahead and bring your
Oh,
screen
okay.
up over here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was excited because I've been following you on Twitter, and I've been seeing all of the amazing things you've been building with it. So I was like, I got to have you on to really see it. So yeah, let's take a look. I'm excited to see where you get started and what you can build.
Okay, I think the first thing to do is to point your browser to MauiReactor GitHub page, where you can find also, of course, the source code of the library, but also a lot of useful information to get things started. For example, there you can see that there are some tools that you have to install. You optionally have to install because you should install to have a good environment to getting started with new project and to run the hot reload model. There are also a documentation site that is reachable by this link. This is the documentation website that I've built during the last year, and I'm updating every week or every week or so. There you can see how you can set up your environment, but also is described what means to build application using components and what a component is, and you can see there how you can create cool animations, how you can embed third-party controls, how you can create graphics, and so on.
Perfect.
Anyway, the first thing to do is, of course, install the template pack. The template pack is a .NET template that let us getting started faster because it creates a brand new project that contains already a reference to the .NET packages, .NET MAUI packages, as well as to the MauiReactor packages. So if you run something like that in a shell like this, you should be able to install this package, this template. Of course, in this case, it complains a bit because the template pack is already installed. So we can use now the MauiReactor startup command to create the new empty project. For example, I can go under tests folder, and I can run this command like this. I can choose something like a cool project.
And this will be very familiar to anyone else because now that you have these templates installed, just .NET new, just like you've newed up any project before, which is great.
Yeah. Of course, when you have installed this template, you find the same template in a new project here using Visual Studio.
Oh,
like
nice.
This. This is the template MauiReactor based app with my name. Of course, I can go ahead, select the name, just click create, and it creates the same empty project like this here. Okay, the project is similar to standard .NET MAUI project. You'll find the family MAUI program where the MAUI app is actually created. A couple of things that make it different from the standard one is, of course, the call to use MauiReactor app, where that is a functions that comes from the library, where you specify the root component that is the starting point of your component-based app. In this case, is called main page. The main page component is under pages by default and is a stateful component because is a class that derives from component and declare a state class called main page state in this case. Of course, an app should be composed of many components that are arranged in a tree view like. So a component has multiple components. Inside the component, you have you must have a render method. Inside the render method, you can create the visual nodes, so the widgets, the controls that comes directly from the .NET MAUI library. So in this case,
gotcha.
You have a content page, a scroll view, a vertical stack layout, and so on.
Now, really, now all these scroll views and the vertical stack layouts, are those just standard .NET MAUI controls, or are those special to your library?
These are special to my library because they are actually that are actually wrapper classes that correspond one-to-one with the underlying native components, native widgets, native control. So you actually are not creating a content page here, but you are creating a wrapper. The native control is created when the component goes live and it requires to be rendered on the page. So inside the library, there is a render loop, and the native control is only created when the wrapper needs to render. So only the visible native controls are created and nothing else. So it's pretty much optimized for this. And of course, if I run this app, we should be see the usual starting page of the app that show the .NET boot image, an hello world label, and the familiar button, click me, the usual click me that shows how we can actually change the state and render the state inside the render method. So let's wait a bit that app starts. Let me see now. It should start in a moment.
Perfect. And then, yeah, what we see here is like also the project that you said is very similar. So it's the same single project system, things like that developers are used to, but it's using your stuff. Got it.
Yeah, exactly the same is the .NET MAUI project. Actually, you can even start from an existing .NET MAUI project, that one that has the usual view built using XAML, something like that. You remove the XAML and just point to the MauiReactor packages on NuGet, and you have the same app that you see here.
Perfect.
So, okay, we have now the usual screen. When I click, this method is called. Let me put this. Oops. Let me put this. Okay. So when I click, this method is called this, and the state property counter is updated, incremented, and when I call the set state, automatically the component is refreshed and the render is called again, and the content page is rendered again, so the scroll view, etc. Of course, he has what is called usually called a ghost tree. So there is a ghost tree of wrapper controls that comes from my library that correspond to the native tree of widgets that come from the .NET MAUI controls. So it's pretty intelligent, in my humble opinion, of course. Only what is different is created or removed from the native tree.
Got
So
it.
in this case, when these components is refreshed, the content page, you found that content page is already created, it attached to the already existing content page, and so on for the Scrum view, etc. Now, another cool feature of the MauiReactor is the MauiReactor Hot Reload component. We have to install it using this command, like this, .NET tool install, and like this, yeah, I can just put in a shell like this. And of course, now it complains that the reactor MAUI Hot Reload is already installed, so we can just use it. To use it, we have just to run this command like this, .NET MAUI Reactor. We have to specify, of course, the version of .NET at the platform, in this case, Android. So if I put this inside the shell, I can use a shell inside the Visual Studio, outside, as we like. For example, here I can just run a terminal window inside Visual Studio like this. If I run this command 7.0 Android, okay, is now monitoring my folder, is the Project 7 folder, and now I'm ready to make changes and see the result like this. For example, if I add something like this here, it connect to the MauiReactor app that is running and update the label in this case. For example, I can change this. If you see, the changes are sent pretty, it's pretty fast, and the hot reload, another great feature of the MVU approach is that what is actually swapped, what is actually refreshed is just the content of the component. So what is inside the render method, but the state is preserved between iterations. So if you see here, we still have 5 times tapped. So we have the counter at 5. If I click here, I go to 6, 7, 8. If I change something like, for example, remove this label, the label is went away, but the counter is still tapped 8 times. This is a pretty cool thing, because if you think to an app that has a lot of components, you are already deep debugging something like in a secondary screen, and you have downloaded something from internet, you have a pretty complex state. The state is preserved between iterations, so it's pretty easy to change your layout without losing the context, no? You know?
Yeah, it's very cool because like what you're showing is that, you know, developers that are maybe used to XAML Hot Reload and some of the .NET Hot Reload, you know, if you go through and you set up your MVVM correct and all this other stuff, and then, you know, in general, all your state will remain. But here, what's nice is that when you're coming in with this MVU style, the code first, you still get all of that stuff. And I thought what was nice that you showed is that you already were just running your app and you're just like, oh, just enable hot reload, go. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you could set up scripts to kind of even do that automatically when you run your app. So that's really neat in general. And I'm assuming here the reason that you need this additional hot reload command is because it needs to be aware of your render loop, right? Like .NET Hot Reload and XAML Hot Reload, like those things don't know about the render loop of your framework. So is it just sort of telling it about it, like, hey, go do this thing.
Yeah. I guess I could use in the future the hot reload that comes with .NET. Maybe in the next version of MauiReactor, I will look into this, because actually it would be interesting to see how it works with the standard hot reload, of course.
That's cool.
Hot reload in this case is pretty fast, but it can be structured to also let us debug our code, so make a breakpoint even when we hot reload the application. For example, in this case, let me see how I can show it. For example, let's say I create a private function like on button click, like this.
Got it. So you can like really change any of the code, basically.
Yeah.
Cool.
In this case, I just make the same thing. So I just put inside the set state code inside the private function of the class. So nothing's changed here. Anyway, if I make a breakpoint now here and I click, nothing happens because actually I didn't use a feature of the hot reload that is the full mode. To show you this, I have to stop it now, and I have to run the hot reload in another mode, the full mode. For example, if I run something like this, I go under cd project like this, not 7, Android. Okay. If I run the .NET MauiReactor command using mode full, it actually it's going to use the full blow MS build task to build my project. So everything is built. For everything I mean that actually it produces also the debugging information for me. So when I start now the app and I make a breakpoint, even when after, okay, if I go here, if I click, of course, now the breakpoint is 8, of course. Let's continue. Okay, now let's make some change. So restore the label. This one, I have to close this one. Let me start again. Okay, we had 2 hot reload in function. I'm sorry, this is not okay. Let me see if now it works again. Okay, the breakpoint is 8 anyway, even if I changed this code. So the hot reload swapped my render part, but the breakpoint is 8 at the same time. Let's make another example. For example, let's remove this. Okay, let's wait a bit that this is working. Okay, as you can see, the label text is changed. If I click now here, this should be working again. As you can see, using mode full, we can auto-reload our application, preserving our ability to debug the application, even using the new code. So this is pretty cool. The only real difference is that using the full blow MS build task, it's a bit slowly
Got
than
it.
the first mode. So this is
Got
another approach. Okay.
So kind of based on how you want to go about it, you have the option to go in that full debug mode, generate those things. I'll just kind of do,
Yeah,
hey, I just want to make a few changes right here to the UI,
yeah,
nice
yeah,
and
yeah.
quick. Very cool.
I usually use the first mode, and only when I really need to debug something, I switch to full mode.
Got it. Very cool. Now you said like there's a lot of animations and like some of the
Yeah,
examples that you showed. Do you want to show off that really quick too?
yeah. This is this is an app of recipes that I'm working on that I want to show and to publish, and I want to show to the community. Is not yet completed anyway. Okay, this is an application that shows some good, cool features of MauiReactor, especially animation. There are two kinds of animation in MauiReactor. The first one is what I call the RX animation, is the ability for MauiReactor to animate between property two different values of properties of the state of the component. Is the easiest one. The other, this is the same pop. We have a scroll view with some cards with recipes. We can move around, go up and go down. I have added some cool animation when you scroll up and down. When you click over a card, the card is expanded, and now you have the abilities to scroll looking at ingredients and steps to reproduce the recipes.
Cool.
Now there you can see how we can animate the movement of the scroll like this and go back like this. Yeah. This is just an example, of course, but I found this app on internet, and it was realized in Flutter, and I wanted to show that is something that we can build using .NET MAUI. So this is just an example, but it
That's awesome.
should show what is possible even in .NET MAUI, of course.
Yeah, that's great to see. Like you said, you can always show the hello world, but then actually building stuff with it and seeing real applications is really, really cool. So this is awesome, Ado. I love it. I'm excited to play around with it myself, and I hope that our viewers are as well. I will put
Yeah.
links to all the GitHub stuff and everything that you have into the source code example as well. Yeah, thank you so much for showing it off and coming onto the show. And like I said, I will put links to everything, including that awesome Rive app as well. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And again, I hope that everyone enjoyed seeing all this kind of really cool MVU stuff. If you have any questions, head over to Ado's GitHub, but also I'll put over to his Twitter account as well. So feel free to reach out. If you're building cool stuff with it, let him know. But Ado, thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, everyone, again. And don't forget, if you're over there, if you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe so you stay up to date with everything happening here on the .NET YouTube. So until next time, I'm James, and this has been on .NET.